Hey, good morning. It's Cece Summerfield, and I'm here with my Friday morning Facebook Live video, and it's me as a professional again. I gotta get some people booked on this, but anyways, I want to switch gears this morning a little bit and talk about investing in real estate. I talk a lot about first-time home buying and home selling, but one thing that's happening here in San Diego is a lot of people have owned their home for quite a long time, or at least over the last 5 years, have really gained a lot of equity in their home. And you know, sometimes financial planners will, depending on your financial planner, or just depending on what your wants and needs are, will suggest maybe diversifying your portfolio by adding some real estate. So I want to give you 5 tips on what to look out for if you're thinking about investing in real estate. Number 1 is buying an investment property is a bit different than buying your primary residence. And how it differs is that you're going to have to expect to put down at least 20%, if not 25% for down payment. And you'll expect to have an interest rate that's slightly higher than your primary residence. Lenders tend to offer primary residence buyers a lower interest rate to help them get into a home that they can live in. The second one is you should think about your goal with the property. You're thinking about fixing and flipping it. If you don't have any experience, I don't know if I would recommend this. Just depending on what your experience is with contracting and working on houses. Or are you planning to buy and hold? And in this market, I would really suggest buying and holding because it's a really strong rental market if you're going to be purchasing here in San Diego. And that's one of the things I want to bring up is it really depends on where you're planning to buy. You don't absolutely need to buy local to San Diego. You could buy anywhere in California, other states. And then it also, like I said, depends on what the market's doing. Right now, prices are settling and rental rates are staying very, very high, actually. I think I mentioned in the last video, they've gone up like 5% over the last 6 months. So the other thing to consider if you're gonna buy and flip is not only the cost of purchasing, but also the holding costs while you're fixing the place up. And if you buy and hold, you won't be faced with so many upfront expenses, but it's gonna take you longer to recoup your initial investment. Number 3 is understand the local economy. Again, this comes back to where do you decide to buy? Are there more jobs coming to the area? Is there a continued demand for rental housing, or is there a housing shortage where there's demand for move-in ready homes? These are all things to consider, and it's a great idea to get with a local that knows what the economy is doing, so they can give you really the inside scoop on what to expect if you're going to buy a property in the area that you're looking. Number 4 is research the market. Obviously, I can help you do this. You should research houses that are selling, what the average home price is, also what the average rental price is, and what's the going rate, so you can make sure that you're going to be meeting your budget needs on whatever you decide to buy. And finally, number 5 is factor in the repairs and other costs. There's different repairs and different costs with either buying, flipping, and fixing, or buying and holding. Either way, you really should, once you identify a property, have a home inspector come into the home to make sure that there's no major repairs that are unseen. This could save you thousands in the long run, and it's $500 average, let's just say that. So if you plan to flip the property, I talked about this a little bit in number 2, but other costs to consider are not only the holding costs, but also the closing costs on the purchase and the resale, because you're going to be paying, most likely you're going to be hiring a realtor to resell the property for you, and you're going to be paying them a commission, plus the closing costs that the seller generally pays during selling a property. And then you want to make sure all this meets your profit margin. I think I mentioned this a little bit too. Make sure that you are still going to make a profit on it, because that's the point, right? Not just to buy it and not get anything out of it. And when you buy and flip, another thing to keep in mind is the taxes that you're going to pay. So there's capital gains taxes because you don't own the property. You own the property. You don't live in the property. So that's another thing to consider, is the taxes you're going to be paying on the sale. And finally, if you're planning to rent it, that's where you can avoid the taxes immediately at this point. But And I can go into another thing about, taxes and stuff and 1031 exchange, but that's a whole nother video. So anyways, if you're planning to rent it, you're not going to probably see so many upfront expenses. But as I said before, it's going to take longer to recoup your initial investment, and you kind of want to make sure that you're getting into a house that doesn't have any major repairs, so that you're not faced with all that upfront cost. So those are my tips for today. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions or you need some help in real estate, investing, buying your first home, selling your home, I'm always here, right here on Voltaire. Hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next Friday.